speedster.
Is it really?
Yeah, $4.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, and it gets tall,
Yeah,
and it's an annual,
yeah. Smells
and I
good.
loaded it up.
I got rye that's taller than Becky's head,
Right now?
right up to here, right now. It's it just went crazy.
So is that winter rye or what kind of rye?
It-
Which one you
they
mow
call-
and make it stool and spread?
Well, this is grain.
Yeah, okay, so the one, yeah.
They planted it last fall.
Yeah, so that's winter. So then
Oh, thank you, Ryan.
do you mow it that fall? It just stools on
It
the
got
front.
about this tall.
The deer do it for you.
Yeah, they were there, they weren't there so much last fall as they were early spring.
Oh, okay.
A deer ran into it yesterday.
That really good.
Becky said,
Yeah.
a deer just ran across the yard and ran into the.
Saw the blue tape on
I
the
couldn't,
screen.
I even got up on the deck so I could see.
Well, did it plop down running from
Well,
bugs?
you can't, if it's just walking, you
Oh.
couldn't see it.
Watch them do that at my house when the deer flies.
Morning, Josh.
They'll-
guys.
Morning.
So I've been thinking about NLX a lot,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's been stewing in my mind since I became a commissioner. And I was watching a thing on TV on the History Channel or HGTV. And it was a city down south. And it's a standard, they build the freeway and the city died, small city just dies. And it got me thinking again, well, what happens if you had rail? That's just another mode where it's gonna shoot past all the cities and these cars aren't gonna get off and have a burger and have go to the bathroom,
I
hit the
think-
gas stations.
I
What
think-
kind of impact is that?
I think there happens, I mean, it's already, I think there's only so many people that can travel. And so the idea would be to take some off the freeway.
I get that,
So you'd have that same amount of people.
but you're gonna have the people, yeah. And I get that, and the people aren't gonna ride because they wanna stop. But really what they wanna do is take the money from money players from a
Right.
city to a city, and they don't want them to spend, they ain't gonna spend anything in between. It's gonna be, we're gonna move this money from here to there. That kind of marketing is all you're gonna have.
Mhm.
It's gonna bypass everything in between.
And you look at the towns that are dying, Hinckley's all thrift stores now. Where
Yeah, and I don't think people will decide, I wanna stop on the way and go,
right.
do the small shop thing. But yeah, you're right, it's a limited population that'll be on it.
I think Princeton is an example where the highway used to go through town. And I remember when I was the administrator there, people remembered before the bypass.
Yeah.
And they would talk about on, weekends, how.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Stalled, nobody
Yeah.
could get anywhere.
Yeah,
Right? And now, I don't know, 30 years in the future, right? Today, there's the bypass, but once the city decided to open up some of that commercial property along the interstate, there was a significant amount of development that went in that does still draw people off. But overall, people are probably happier not to be gridlocked, trying to get through Princeton.
oh,
I look at Hinckley when there was that accident a couple weeks ago and how it was backed up from Baroon all the way to Hinckley. And I mean, you couldn't get on 23, you couldn't get on 61, it was horrible.
that happens everywhere when it's a backtrack. The city does it too, it just stops.
Yeah, if there's something going on the freeway. and-
You have to make a move,
They
hopefully you're
gotta get
close to a
off.
ramp, yeah.
And like when they were having construction on the bridge and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
bad.
But the town does kind of change,
Oh, yeah.
Well, like Shangwatana died when the railroad was side of the lake, the river.
I didn't realize that was the county seat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Well,
then,
and Markville and Cloverton died because of the railroad.
right.
when the freeway came in, the town kind of changed. accommodate people out by the freeway.
Yeah, I'm not saying you don't want to stop progress. Yeah, you just start thinking about it different after you do this for a few years.
Mhm. Went to San Diego, and so we stayed up by Escondido, and then we did the train down into San Diego and stuff, and it's, yeah, you just fly. You know, there's nothing, you don't see anything, you miss. I like getting on and off and seeing
Well,
what's.
see, and you can do that because the trains are going constantly. I can just hop off and be here for an hour and another one's coming through. I just need to jump on it, right? Your passes. And it's so close. It's just a wonderful way to move around.
Right.
There, hey, Reese.
Hello.
Good morning.
I'm trying first today.
The kayaker,
Like that.
how was the shot down the river?
Fantastic.
Which river did you do?
Kettle up here, so we started up at Banning and shot it down to Robbins.
Oh, wow.
So did you rent the kayak and everything from that?
Yep.
Are you an experienced kayaker?
No, I mean, I've been down there a few times, but I went to that Hardwater Sports here
Yeah.
in town, and
Nice job.
it's fantastic.
They teach you what to do?
Oh, yeah, they give you kind of a brief instruction and send you out.
You didn't end up upside down and have to rewrite yourself?
Rapids. How were
Tried that one.
They're not too bad.
they?
Yeah. I think they're only a max class 3, so there's not enough water to make them 4 yet. I get them enough in that one.
We go get in up at Rutledge and then go down to the Banning exit and get off there. And that's a beautiful long.
I've two.
I sent Jerry Black Friday shopping one year and I said, pick up 2 kayaks. He came home with 4. That works. Yeah.
Newing ones, we went up north of Kettle River, the town,
Mhm.
and there and floated all the way to Banning.
We put a roll. We wouldn't-
Yeah. It's very pretty.
I would put in a 48, went down to the Highway 70 bridge.
Oh, that would be nice too.
Well, you went through the ledges too then, huh? Was it shallow or high?
When we went, we should have went a few weeks earlier.
You should take your kids tubing up there. You get up,
Bang a little bit.
Get back.
the campground is out on 48 and you go north. I can't think of what it's called. It used to be St.
Isn't Big Eddie?
There's like, if you go after that and then you turn, there's like a really nice parking area down there. And you can get in and you can inner tube and it's not,
The farm family,
it's nice and sandy.
farm family of the year.
We watched a bear cross in front of us and we've watched the eagles come down and get the fish and just.
You know.
Mhm.
I know Rod, I've met him.
Yeah,
That's the Martins.
yep. We're gonna take the grandkids down there this year. It's just beautiful.
Such a pretty area.
We used to do it after milking cows.
Yes.
Martins.
Outside. They do the tomatoes, don't they do the tomatoes? The water tomatoes,
Say it again?
the water tomatoes, isn't that Martin's?
I don't know. I thought they had dairy,
Do they? Okay.
but I'm not sure. Is it Estelle? They always run or she used to run the cream cone thing, when the dairy people would come into the little fairs. I
Oh,
might be just assuming she's dairy.
okay, okay.
You know,
Jerry,
that-
you're thinking of someone different.
Okay, that's what okay, yeah.
You're
What's, do
thinking of another family,
you remember their names?
Tom and Laura.
Pardon?
Tom and Laura.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. Hi, Jason, how are you?
I am good. How about you guys?
Good to see you.
Hey, Jason. I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask you the CWD question.
I'm not as up on that as I was before. I've been getting behind on that one a little bit, but I do hopefully have some information for you. You probably have more for me than I have for you, though.
Morning, JJ.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Hi, JJ.
Hey,
How are you?
good.
Good, really good.
Good.
Busy, just like I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, we will begin for the June 1st meeting. The meeting will be in person via WebEx, streamed on the internet. The public may join the meeting, and the in-person in-meeting room or on live stream. If joining the meeting in person, total number of persons, including commissioners, will not exceed 10. The governor of the state of Minnesota has issued Executive Order 20-01 declaring a peacetime emergency and coordinating Minnesota's strategy to protect Minnesotans from COVID-19. On March 24th, 2020, Pine County Board of Commissioners declared a local emergency for Pine County. Based on these conditions, the chair of the Pine County Board of Commissioners has determined that the requirements of Minnesota Statute 13D.021 Subdivision 1 have been met, and it is not practical or prudent for all members of the county board to meet in person. Public is invited to join the meeting in person or remotely. With that, we will call the meeting to order and rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public forum, do we have anybody that wishes to speak in public forum? Anybody raising their hand, Ryan? If not, we'll look to adopt the agenda. We've got a couple changes.
Mr. Chair, if I can review changes and additions. For consent item 1B, want to revise that to reflect and consumption and display. The second one, the regular item 8, upcoming meetings, note that the facility committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow was canceled. And then there's additional information for regular agenda item number 1, the health insurance committee minutes. And regular agenda item number 4 is an updated 2020 results status.
All right.
Very good. Ludwig will move as amended.
Lofgren will second.
Got a motion by Ludwig, seconded by Lovegren to adopt the amended agenda. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll. You there, Debbie?
Yep, I was muted, sorry.
Okay,
District 1, Chair Holland.
yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll look for approval of the minutes of the May 18th County Board meeting summary for publication and the minutes of May 24th special meeting public hearing for DEED coronavirus response program projects, broadband and remodel of a place for you.
I'll move for those, Steve. Do you want to do them both at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Moral second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, second by Moore. Approve the minutes that are stated. Any discussion? Not. Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Minutes of boards, reports and correspondence. We got the land surveyor report for May. Pine County Chemical Health Coalition minutes for May 10th. Initiative Foundation, thank you. The 18th.
Ludwig will move.
Lupton will second.
We got a motion by Ludwig, second by Lovegren. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
District 3, Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
Brings us to the consent agenda with the change that was there.
Moore will move the consent agenda.
Lupton will second.
Got a motion by Moore, seconded by Lovegren to approve the consent agenda. Ended. Any discussion? If not, Debbie?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lofgren.
Aye.
Thank you.
That brings us up to the regular agenda. We'll take the Health Insurance Committee report first. Terry, you
Yep, I'll go.
start that off?
Yep. So it was a good meeting. One of the things that Justin said is that we are in great shape. He said not excellent, but great shape. We're right where we want to be. Our total expenses to 517 is $834,183. Total payments were sent out. We're just doing very good with our own self-insured. We need to keep track. Kelly, I believe it was Kelly, did a really awesome job of getting things set up so that we can tell what's going in from United Healthcare so that we can see where that plan is at. And so that's working out really well. We can keep track of where things are and where our spending is and what we need to do. But it's going well.
Great. Yeah, I think we can be, I'm always cautiously optimistic because anything can happen in a hurry in healthcare, as we know. One day you're fine and the next day the doctor says, whoops.
Yep.
And so that can happen. That's why we have health insurance. But every indication right now is that we're on the right trajectory. And I think we're in a good place. Just so everybody knows, there are some minor glitches. And I think those minor glitches happen if you stayed with the old company, if you switch to any company, if it just happens, and so Justin is tracking down, it's hard for him to do something when somebody writes in a text. Three of my people in my unit are paying more than they used to for their prescriptions. Well, you gotta know what prescriptions, is it an anomaly? Is that
store too, probably, right?
Yeah.
What drug?
What drug is it?
They change that all the time.
And
That's
Yeah.
normal.
And in my mind, I quickly think, if you compared the price that you bought a 2x4 last year and you switched 2x4 supply companies to this year, and now you're paying 3 or 4 times more, it could be some of that. I don't know, probably everybody in this room has bought some prescription, where at one pharmacy, it's like
It's cheap.
$9.70, and the other one is $178, it's like,
Well, how many issues did we have per member, or we have a lot of members, so is it low percentage, right?
I would say the percentage is low.
Very low.
That's kind of a given, right?
Yeah, and so,
The other thing with the insurance is starting today, we went live with Rally. And so employees can go out there and do a health incentive and find out what their age is versus their real age, you know, with their health issues and that type of stuff. So Rally starts out and that's a way for employees to get paid extra to do with the money that we get from the insurance company so that they can go out and do things to help be more health conscientious. So that started today.
How was that pool doing? Because we put 18,000 in for this year, right?
Right, but we only have, I think it's not the whole 18,000, yeah. So,
Set aside for the year, I think.
right, and everything was figured out so that we should be able to do it. And then we're looking at ways to help the people that are not on, that don't have county health insurance so that they can utilize some of this also.
Good idea.
So that's a big one. And then the other thing that Justin said is that either way, we would have had to go out next year because Blue Cross Blue Shield, the plan that we had last year is going to it's going to Medica starting next year. So we would have had to have done all.
Which anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
they switched,
Yeah.
resources switched anyway, so.
Yeah.
And I think Justin is right. It's better to be in the driver's seat.
Yes.
For a little bit in control when we switched instead of somebody telling you, you have to switch.
Right,
I mean, I think.
it was a win.
Anyway, any questions from anybody? And we'll move on to the Farm Family of the Year introduction. Stephen Estelle Martin and Rod Greener is gonna introduce them and all that. Thanks, Rod.
Thank you. Good morning. Rod Greeter, agriculture educator for University of Minnesota Extension in Pine County. It's a pleasure to be here today. I apologize for wearing blue jeans. I'm going to a farm visit right after this, so.
That's perfect.
You don't want to change clothes in the truck. I might get in trouble doing that. So I'm here, my pleasure and honor to introduce the Farm Family of the Year for 2021. And as most of you are aware, the Farm Family of the Year takes place every year and in all 87 counties in Minnesota. And our 2021 Pine County Farm Family of the Year are Stephen Estelle Martin and their son Joshua is also in attendance. So the criteria for Farm Family of the Year are that first and foremost, that the family is an exemplar of good agricultural practices. They're doing things the right way, which and when I read the Martin's bio, you'll see that that is true. Second is that they're also actively involved in agricultural organizations. You know, it's bigger than just their farm. They're contributing to ag in a larger sense, and they're doing that. And then third is that they're involved in their communities. They're a good citizen of Pine County, of their township, of Finlayson, the school district, et cetera. And you'll see that in spades with the Martins as well. So Stephen Estelle Martin are from Finlayson. Steve's grandfather, Fred, purchased the original farm in 1920. So a century farm, essentially, 100 years in the family. Steve and his wife, Fred and his wife, Lydia, raised various livestock with their 7 children. Steve's parents, Arlen and Della, moved back to the farm in 1954 and bought it. And that couple ran a dairy operation with their 6 children. Steve moved back to the farm in 1986 after attending the University of Minnesota Waseca, and he began dairy farming with his parents. Steve married Estelle in 1994 and have a son, Joshua. The Martins currently milk 51 Holsteins in a step-up flat parlor. The cows are housed in a sand-bedded freestall barn, and the family raises their own replacement heifers and sells their bull calves. They own 320 acres and rent another 20. The land is used for grass, hay, and for pasture. And the Martins purchased their grain from Munson Lakes Nutrition. And I would say one of the things that stood out, and I'm negligent in not thanking the Extension Committee and a subcommittee that helped with the nominations and the interview process and the selection process. So this isn't me, I'm just representing the Extension Committee. But when we reviewed the nominees we had, and I was able to do a site visit, the rest of my committee was not. And we're walking around and Steve and Estelle were talking about some of their practices. And anybody that knows dairy dairying knows that quality of the milk is pretty darn important. And the somatic cell count is one of the measures used to determine the health of the cows, because then that affects the quality of the milk. And was it DHIA or Land O'Lakes that came out once and they were talking to you about the cell counts? I think Estelle, you said that they were kind of in awe and surprised at how good your numbers were and how consistent. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, Land O'Lakes, okay, I couldn't remember if it was DHIA or not. And what's most impressive, what got my attention is that, yeah, you can get all those good numbers if you've got the biggest barns and automation and robots and all the technology and all that stuff. But you can also get those numbers through hard work and good management. And it was just obvious that your attention to detail and quality, that's what drives their success. It's really their management, and that's the kind of thing we like to reward. So the Martins are members of the Minnesota Milk Producers Association, Minnesota Dairy Herd Improvement Association, American Dairy Association, and the Land O'Lakes Cooperative. So that shows that they're heavily involved in agriculture beyond their own farms, beyond their own farm. They belong to the Peace Lutheran Church in Finlayson. Steve and Estelle volunteer with many local organizations, including the Hinckley Finlayson Schools. And Estelle was just talking to me, mentioning out while we were waiting about helping with the schools and taking cows to this coming week to Finlayson schools.
Take 4 cows to Finlayson Elementary School.
Yeah.
And sit on them and whatever.
Yeah, so helping with educating our consumers and, you know, people in town that don't quite understand food production yet. So they're really helping with that, with informing the public. Also involved in the local fire department, Sandstone Soccer Association, Pine County Dairy Board, DHIA Board, and their church. And what are you guys doing in your spare time? Probably don't have any. Farm, yeah, cows. It's a silly question. So you can see, yeah, the great management, they're exemplars of good agricultural practices, attention to detail, involved in agricultural organizations, community involvement. It's really a no-brainer. And I'd like to present Steve and Estelle Martin. And if you guys could come up, Josh, why don't you come up too? And if I can get a picture with the commissioners, if that's possible.
Yep.
David, do you want to be involved here too? I don't know if we can do that out front without violating any
I think
regulations.
we can make.
Want all the commissioners or the chair?
No, if we can have all the commissioners, that would be great.
Oh, they won't all be here though, will we?
And
We got 2 on the screen
okay, if you could present that, I
as
want
well.
to get a couple pictures here.
We milked for years. Yes.
Gotta find the camera.
Maybe if we can do it up against the wall, there was a county in the background. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, here we go.
We can get Mr. Gainer to put it all.
We said you want to be there today.
All back there.
Gotta walk around.
Jump.
I was trying to.
And you're chasing a heifer. Huh?
Can't tell anymore.
I'm fine. Are you fine?
We're good.
Hey, Steve, if you can present him the award there. We'll grab a picture of that. Okay. Smile, say cheese and butter and milk.
Oh, we should have had cheese curds.
That's right.
So you still.
More a little closer here. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna be the last of the voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations to you too.
No,
Thanks for coming in.
that works there though, I think. I've heard that before.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Years and years and years ago.
Thanks, Rod.
Have fun at the school today, you guys. That sounds like a good time.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to say a little something. Congratulations to the Martins as well. But I just wanted to kind of say a little something. Thanks, Rod, very, very much. This is the first year we've ever had well, it was the first year the egg educator has been involved in the Farm Family of the Year. And being on the extension committee for 6 years now, it was something we would sit around and kind of, we had names that were kind of in the hopper for a few years that people would nominate and this and that, and try to figure out somebody in a different field in a different area every year to try to do some stuff. We had one year where we picked somebody and they denied it, and a few other things. So it kind of was nothing against the extension committee or anything, but Rod really did step up this year. He took it. He vetted everybody, got it narrowed down to a few people. He had a subcommittee. They toured and talked to some farms and families and stuff like that, and really got a great candidate there. So I just appreciate what Rod has done, and it was really cool. I wasn't on the committee, but I thank everybody that was on the committee and thank Rod. So that's it.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Josh.
Congratulations.
Let's see. Is Jason on the call or is
Yes.
he?
Here he is.
Senator Rarick,
Oh, how is everyone today?
good. I was going over some notes last night and I'm thinking, oh, I don't have to know that because Senator Rarick will know that. So do we know where we're at with things like, the deer processor, did that get solved and?
So, yeah, nothing is official yet. We have, when session ended, the conference committees officially went away, but we were all put into what we're terming working groups at this point. I'm actually at the Capitol today. We're on probably the last day or two on getting the jobs bill taken care of. It sounds like the commerce and energy bill is done. Higher education is close. I think ag is really close. That's where that provision for the deer processors is. That has very good support. I believe it'll be in the final bill. So within the next few days, I think we'll start hearing more of what the agreements are. And I do believe that it's sounding like around the June 14th date is when the special session will be called. I think it'll be more than a one-day deal. From my understanding, we're going to try to have some hearings so that the public can come and understand. We'll present what are in the bills. The public can give some input, and then have all the hearing or have the debate and votes on the floor of the House and the Senate. So I think it's coming together. We were quite a ways apart on some of the things, but if commerce and energy can get done, I think everybody can get done. They were probably the furthest apart of all. So I think when the targets came out, a lot of the money is going to HHS and to both K-12 education and higher ed. That's where the bulk of it is going. We are keeping about 1.3 billion for next year. I'm hoping a amount of that is going to be able to go to the jobs area so that we can potentially do the unemployment insurance account is definitely going to need some help. That has taken a big hit. That was very healthy when this whole thing started, and it was it was over $1 billion in the surplus, and it went well over $1 billion into the negative during this. It has actually come back below $1 billion in negative, but I think hopefully we can use some of the money that we've got in reserves to help fill that back up. And we'll be able to see what type of recovery our businesses have had and if we're getting people back to work. I think that's one of the big keys that we're hopefully going to focus on today as well. And the unemployment insurance is, are we going to end these extensions and kind of start promoting everybody getting back to work? The help wanted signs are everywhere. And I've been hearing from so many people, they just can't get people back in. And a number of restaurants are saying they're going to close down a day or two a week, not because they don't have business, because they don't have the staff. And so I think, that's going to be a big key to the recovery for the state and for the counties, getting people back to work, getting the economy rolling again. I think it's there. Hopefully, you brought up the price of 2x4s a little bit ago. I am hoping we see that come back within reason. That could really shut down the construction industry quick if we don't see prices come back in range, if we don't get manufacturing and supply back where we need it to be. So I can try to answer some specific questions. I know there was a mention of a CWD question, so.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
You're not going to get out of Pine County without us answering that, or at least hearing from us, Senator.
Can I, Mr. Chair? Commissioner Ludwig, Senator Rick, I actually have 3 points maybe that you could touch on.
Sure.
The clawback dollars for HHS, that they're trying to reach back and grab. I know that, I don't know if that was decided. I heard it was. And then the probation and CC, the funding, the increase there. And then, I have a bunch more, but, and then the chronic wasting disease, it's kind of hot again because Beltrami, but we were hot a year ago with the issue in Pine County. And I think I raised it to you before, the deer industry compared to the hunting and the sale of all hunting supply industry, there's no comparison of the numbers there. So, and I don't even understand why we allow the wild animals to be penned up. So, when we can lose everything. So, and we can't answer that, but is there discussions on that?
There are, and I know Commissioner Holland and I were talking about this recently as well. I think the bigger problems come from kind of these hobby farmers that have, 5 or fewer. Some of the bigger farms tend to do a pretty good job of, they have the fencing that's required and they have enough land for the deer and the elk to be on. So I think the issue in the discussions probably needs to begin with, restricting these small hobby farmers. I think that's where a lot of our issues really start from. But there's a lot of discussion about how do we address it when there is a positive to depopulate, to close that land off so that no animals are in there for a period of time, get it tested. And I know there's a lot of discussion and money going to the university to work on a live test as well. I think that'll be a big key if these farms are going to continue to be able to have that live test to make sure it's not there. So those are the big talking points around the CWD. So, and then your questions about the HHS, I don't know any of the details. That should be coming out within the next couple of days as the negotiations start to wrap up. What will be in there. Like I said, I think we'll see probably some good things there. Like I said, the budget targets that were given, HHS got a pretty good budget target. So hopefully they'll be able to address a number of those issues that you mentioned.
Probation was the other one.
Probation. Do you know anything about that? How those formulas might work out?
I will have to do some checking and follow up with you on that. I have not heard any details on that one. So, but I'm at my office today, so I'll go connect with the staff and I can follow up with you and send that information on.
Safety too.
You have any questions? Terry?
No. No. Is there anything that you're really excited about that came out of this session, Jason, that will benefit the counties?
I know I'm anxious to see in the final details on the transportation bill, to see if we're getting that increased road funding in place. I believe that had good potential, so that could help the counties and the townships and small cities, which helps Pine County across the board in all those areas. So I don't think it's going to be quite to what the Senate proposal was, dedicating more of the sales taxes from auto parts and things like that. I think but I believe there'll be an increase there. That'll be positive. And I think one of the other things that I worked on, not as much for the counties, but just in general, all of Pine County is served by East Central Energy. And one of their biggest electric utilities, one of their biggest priorities for a number of years was the ECO bill, the Conservation Improvement Program reform. And we finally got that done, and the governor signed it a few days ago. So that was reform that our utilities wanted and needed, and I think that'll be really good for all of the electric utility customers, especially rural customers.
Good. Thank you.
Anybody else? Josh or JJ, you got any questions for the senator?
Oh, just to jump on your 2x4 comment, looks like there's some tariffs also going to hurt our lumber prices here. Just be kind of interesting to see how that's going to play out, I guess. I hope some local, I know there's a mill out around Finlayson there, hopefully maybe people can start utilizing some of our local mills and stuff here, and maybe get some local lumber back out on the market here. Those tariffs coming into play, I don't know.
Yeah, I know the whole pandemic and some of the battles that have happened with the tariffs and such, I think has exposed that we have gone away from a lot of manufacturing that we could and should be doing here in the United States, so that we don't have these shortfalls in supplies. So we'll see what happens. And there are some things that are being discussed. I don't know if they'll make it this year, but some incentives for the lumber industry in northern Minnesota, which could potentially help with that.
Mr. Chair.
Yep, go ahead, Josh.
Well, I would echo the lumber, as Jason knows. He's working on my new house. But the other thing I would just echo is jobs. There is not a person I talk to that is not looking for help in the business industry. I talked to our general manager of our distribution center that oversees 150 plus stores, and he goes, in every conversation he has with store owners, he goes, he doesn't ask it because he knows it's there, but it comes up in every conversation about people cannot find help. I talked to some fast food guys just locally here around that own a fast food store that he goes, usually I have between 18 and 20 employees. He goes, I have 9 right now. I know that's why I'm joining you virtually, because I got to just stuff back in my office for a couple hours and do this because I don't have enough help. Everywhere you look, people just need to get back to work. And so whatever you can do to help that, I'd appreciate it. So.
Yeah, I know one of the things, part of our negotiations today in the jobs bill is going to be ending the unemployment. I think the extension right now goes through September. Probably, I'm going to be saying we need to be ending that sooner rather than later. One of the big things, though, is what we're getting some information is a number of people just decided to retire early out of this, and that's where a big chunk of our labor force has been lost to. But just some of the expectations of others out there in the workforce, I've heard from so many, they get there for a day or two and I can't handle the pressure, or this is too much for me. And I've heard it from industries. I kind of asked the question a couple of years ago, well, can't you offer overtime and won't that draw people in? And they laugh and they're like, the moment somebody earns 4 hours of vacation time, they take Friday off. He goes, I can't get them to work 40 hours a week. So it's some of that mentality, I think, has to change in the workforce too, to and maybe some of that'll happen when people start to realize that the services they want, they can't receive because people aren't working the jobs. And that means everybody needs to kind of step up and work some longer hours if that's what's required. So I think hopefully people start to understand that when they see these places shutting down and not providing them with the services they want to receive.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
We really appreciate you being here, Senator. It means a lot to us to have you on this call. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
And
I
I know
appreciate.
you'll be sending out updates when you get them. So we'll be looking.
Yeah, we'll keep everybody updated. I'll follow up here right away on the HHS and the other information and get that to you right away. And then hopefully this fall, we'll be able to get back in person and be there. My schedule will slow down and I can be there in person to do a meeting.
We did get on a CWD thing. We got a communication late last week that there's some possible new cases that have popped up in Kanabec and Mille Lacs County,
Okay.
kind of related to the Beltrami. Apparently, the one in Kanabec had supplied deer to Beltrami and to a couple other places. So
Okay.
it's going to be an interesting go around for us because we don't know. I mean, I would throw my money towards the University of Minnesota as the best way that we can figure out how we can deal with it, you know, because certainly Matt and I can come up with a lot of good ideas, but they're just ideas. So,
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll have our environment natural resource staff keep me up to speed on anything that comes in so I can follow through and let you guys know that as well.
and I know we're not telling you anything when we talk about the impact to the economy in Pine County that deer hunting has. I mean, it's beyond our probably scope of trying to even get our arms around how much money it pumps into our economy.
Right.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys all next time.
Yep.
Good day, Jason.
Performance Management Program Participation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is Kelly Schroeder, County Auditor Treasurer. I have before you today just the results from our 2020 Performance Management Program. Just for a little bit of history, the State Auditor's Office, in conjunction with the Council on Local Results and Innovation, back in the 90s put together this program in that counties can track certain statistics from year to year and report them. And then there's actually a little bit of a financial incentive that is available. It's 14 cents per capita, which sounds really little, but when you actually calculate it out, it's just over $4,000 extra in county program aid that's available if you gather those results and report them annually. So I began doing that in 2019. So this is our third year. So you got the results in your packet, and as you can see, most things are trending to the positive. So that's great to see. There were two items that when the packet was sent out, I did not have data for, which was the veterans % receiving benefits, and that data is still not available. It comes out usually in early June, so Mindy's watching for it. And then the recycling percentage, I actually do have that available now. And the recycling percentage for 2020 went way down. In 2019, it was 35.7. In 2020, it was 17.6. But in our mind, Caleb and I talked about it, and really that was to be expected. We went from 13 non-staffed recycling locations down to 3 staffed and 2 unstaffed. And so a lot of product came through the Pine City recycling sheds. And when we switched over to the South Pine Recycling Center, a lot of people kind of bucked that at first. We're seeing those amounts pick up now that it's been there and folks are visiting it, realizing that it is a good service and helpful. Otherwise, everything else is kind of trending as we'd like to see it, getting more positive results year after year. Any questions at all? Yep.
Anybody?
You always report so well, you don't have any.
Yeah. No, look, it's interesting stuff to look at. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so I do need you to pass a resolution to continue participating in the program and to report the results to the state auditor's office. So you have resolution 2021-38 before you for your consideration.
Ludwig will move 2021-38.
And
I'll
Lefferts a second. Oh, Josh got it.
Is that Josh or JJ? JJ. Motion by Ludwig, second by Waldham. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you.
American Rescue Plan update.
Mr. Chair, members of the board. So we continue to work through the information that's coming out on the American Rescue Plan. We've gotten the first half of the funding. And so that money is literally in the bank as we speak. The Economic Development Committee is planning to meet on the 14th to get into a little detail on the distribution of the funds and the priorities. In my mind, I'm thinking that broadband is probably the largest single use of funds. And then other areas that we would want to consider, housing is an eligible expense. There's a lot of different ways to spend the money on housing. There's business assistance. There is direct assistance to families in need that we can consider potentially with Lakes and Pines again. And then job training through Pine Technical and Community College is something that I think we want to work with Joe Mulford again on a program. So any thoughts or questions, things we want to be sure we look at before the Economic Development Committee meets on the 14th? And then one other area is water and sewer infrastructure are eligible. The county doesn't have a lot of water and sanitary sewer infrastructure. We do have some storm sewer. And so we want to be sure that Mark is in on those conversations in case there are some needs that we can meet.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you guys are gonna. My only question is, and I don't know how big the pot is, but I think I heard we can replace lost gas tax revenue from our highway department with those funds. Is that at least on the table?
Yes. So the law allows replacement of revenue. There's some very specific guidelines on how to calculate that lost revenue. And I'm looking at Kelly as probably the person who will make those calculations, but that is something that we can consider.
So, and then will that extend down then to the townships too, if they get a share out of that? And
Well,
do they have to do their own, or how does that work?
that's a good question. So all of them are receiving funding. And so to the extent that they get a share of any distribution to the county, I presume we could consider making that up, or we could consider having them make up that portion with their funding.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a lot to do there. Okay, thank you.
Are we gonna consider, because we have until 2024 to spend this, right?
Yes.
that we just don't all spend it the first day we get it. And that we take a good hard look at projects, because we might be sitting here 2.5 years from now going, man, I wish we wouldn't have blown that 2 million on that.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and yet we don't want to leave.
Yeah, it's too, right?
Yeah, I think I would prefer to see what comes from the state, because they got a chunk to distribute in it.
But I think we have to have a plan.
Oh, I agree,
Yeah.
but would the plan say we spent a third of it in this fiscal year and a third, you know, I mean, we kind of got to set up our own rules, but I think that's what, if we have any advice to the committee, that's really the Economic Development Committee is gonna take a look at this. So if we have some advice, we should give it to them.
Are you on that one, Terry?
No.
Who's that?
Josh and
JJ and Josh?
So we got two business guys sitting on that committee, so we're looking for good things coming out of it from you guys, but I think from my perspective, I think we want to go very slowly and see how these projects develop. We don't have anything cooking on the back burner even right now with broadband. But we know there's going to be some projects that are going to say, geez, if we had 400,000 to help backfill us, we could hit this many homes or whatever, you know, because there'll be some gaps in anything we got to do.
Good question. So I have another question. So let's say a year from now, and we still have some of these dollars and a grant in Leslie's realm and there's a big grant out there. Can we use dollars from that to match to another grant once it's in our?
Potentially,
Okay.
right? Every match is going to have to be evaluated, because some programs will be very specific as to what can count and can't count, but potentially these funds can match other funds. And I would think in many of our programs, whether it be broadband or housing or whatever we might decide to spend the money on, that we are structuring our programs in a way that they're leveraging other funds.
That's what I'm perfect. Yeah. Figured you're all over that.
And then
Question.
the spending deadline, as Steve mentioned, is December 31st, 2024. It's much more flexible than the CARES Act funding was, in that is the date that the funds have to be committed. And there can actually be project expenses that are finished after that date. So I think the thinking is this certainly is money that is for the long haul, to rebuild the infrastructure, you know, whatever that turns out to be, in a way that's going to carry us for many years.
Well, it's going to be interesting, and it's certainly exciting times for me. I've been on the board a while, and to know that we have some money to actually do some things with, instead of always saying, we'd love to do that, but if we do that, we can't do this. So,
And to do some things that we really truly need.
we've gotten behind on some areas, so maybe we can get caught up a little bit. So you got your work cut out for you, committee.
Yep.
Let's move on to anything else on the rescue plan. That'll unfold as time comes. AMC County Government 101.
It was about budgeting. So we had a couple different administrators that talked to us about how they do budgets with their county boards and things to look for. And
Arrowhead counties.
Meeting, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we had our meeting May 19th and Dave already stomped on two of the things I learned. They said that the money was lagging delivery date, and he says ours is already in the bank on American Rescue dollars. So that's funny to me. I think a really cool highlight to me was less than 20 bills were passed out of in legislative session this year. And the rest are sitting like out in conference committees. And then, so we kind of went over the ones, and that's why I asked Jason, you know, the insurance or the Health and Human Services clawback dollars, and then that mental health dollars for the catchment area. Broadband, it sounds like the state has 70 million committed. That was a number.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out of that.
Yeah. And the bonding bill is still up in the air. Public safety target is up in the air, and probation funding. I don't know. Looking at a COLA and look into the future. So I'm gonna keep pushing on that one. And the other really interesting thing is every county in the state has a housing problem to some degree.
Mhm.
And that was probably my biggest takeaway. Even some of the small, you know, less populated farming counties have the same. It might be a different type, but it's, you know, they have an issue. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
And that's pretty much it, Mr. Chair.
all right. CBR Accelerate, that's the Blandon program. Josh or Terry?
It's been exciting. Finding out all of the different aspects on how to do, you know, how to plan and what you need to do and how to get the best bangs for your bucks. So we finished our classes now. We're working with them and learning more, and now we're coming up with our plan. And so we'll be meeting next week, I believe is the first meeting, to start discussing what our plan is and what we can do and where to move forward with broadband for our county.
Is that the role there in that is to come out of it with a plan or a,
Mhm.
you know, or do we meet and put a plan together with guidelines? I don't know. Is that the,
Put a plan together with what?
are we gonna put a plan together? Or are you guys gonna come out and say, this is our plan? You guys gonna have the plan?
Together, and we're working with Bill from the Blandon Foundation, who is
Awesome.
really good.
Mr. Chair, if I could add, what, in my mind, I think what the plan is, right, it'll be some information about what exists. It'll be some information about what we're doing and what providers are doing now. And then it will be some priorities of what needs to be done.
And I don't know that every one of those steps of priorities that need to be done has to be done by the county board.
No, I know that. I just was kind of wondering how the plan.
Yeah.
So what is the discussion for the long stretch out in our rural area where you just have a few people, you know? And I know that the company's gonna say that return on investment is like bad, so.
That's why we're there.
Yeah.
And I think there's 20 people on our committee from Pine County. There's probably 19 different answers to that right now.
Mhm.
They gave us the process to how to get to the plan. Now it's up to us to figure out.
Yeah. I
would be very surprised if our plan would have one solution for the whole county.
Oh, no, I know, yeah. Our county is so diverse anyway, right? You're gonna have.
You go from pretty concentrated areas of housing to really sparsely concentrated, so.
Well, it's exactly like the guy from SCI Cable was telling us last meeting. It's just, they even have that same issue, you know, hitting them in the face all the time.
Right.
You know, what always amazes me is you look at like the city of Pine City and Josh, you know, and what it costs to get internet in the city where it's very congested. It just amazes me that it should be that big of a challenge in that type of an area.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's not even way out in the boonies. It's in the middle of a city too.
Is that because of contract things or territory things or?
Construction costs.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they gotta build it in there.
Mhm.
Maintenance.
Yep.
Oof, you guys.
It's been really interesting.
Good work, keep going.
I don't know. We'll see what comes out of it. Snake River Watershed.
Yeah, I did make that meeting. one of the biggest things, so just to kind of update everybody, we got Snake River Watershed Management Board, and then Snake River Watershed one watershed, one plan. So they are not the same thing. That was the biggest discussion. We didn't have one watershed, one plan policy committee this month. We had the management board, which is the one that's been in place since 91 or 93. So our biggest discussion was, what are we going to do when the one watershed, one plan comes online? And I talked to most of the board. We got a couple new members, but that probably haven't been in this conversation. But they're trying to figure out whether we're going to be a joint powers board or not, and whether or not we're going to merge with the one watershed, one plan. So we had decided probably a year and a half ago when we started down this plan that us as a county board, we're going to support a joint powers board and to merge. So we didn't have two entities pretty much doing the same thing. So I did voice that again. David was going to prepare something for our next county board meeting, so we can do a letter of support what we want to do. We'll probably be the first county to propose that. Some of the other counties are undecided, but it just seems very clunky. If we're not a joint powers board, everything that happens at the one watershed, one plan, if we vote on it, just say we want to do something, it has to come back to each county board, and then they have to approve it before it gets sent back. It's kind of ridiculous. We've been operating as a joint powers board ever since that management board was funded or started. And it would be a real step backwards if we didn't do it that way. Now the merged one, the biggest difference is our management board has a community action council that operates simultaneously. Steve, I think you've been to a couple of them meetings, haven't you?
Yep, yep.
And they're weird. It works, but the community action council, they have like a meeting that they vote on it and then send it to the 4 commissioners and then we vote on it. So they just advise. They don't, if they say don't vote on it, and we can still do whatever we want. So that board would probably go away is the only thing that would change. But we can modify our bylaws to make it so it would work for one watershed, one plan. So that was a little more than probably I wanted to even really say now. But like our next meeting, we're gonna have that proposal to come forward, and then I can bring that to this just to say, hey, we're ready to just step forward and get this done. So that's mostly what we talked about.
Is there anybody on there is there any county that's saying, absolutely, we want to stay the way we are?
It's a real weird dynamic there. Nobody wants to be the first one in, nobody wants to be the first one out. I really hope, with talking to some of the people from Bowser, they were really excited because I was like, well, nothing's really getting done here. Do you want us to come back with something from the county board? And the one gal from Bowser's like, I think if one county would take the step, maybe the rest would follow. But nobody's really said no. Nobody's really said yeah, other than us. I just don't even understand why you would think of changing it, going somewhere different than what we have, because it's been working good. And essentially the Snake River Watershed Management Board has been one watershed, one plan since 1993. That's how they've been operating. Now, when the new law came into effect, it forces everybody to go to one watershed, one plan. It's just, we're going to do the exact same stuff. It's just going to be better for everything. It really is.
It just seems to me, Josh, you're basically changing your name.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The structure is going to be a little different. Right now, we have just the 4 commissioners are the policy committee. Now it will add the soil and water to the mixed. So, essentially we'll have 8 instead of 4. and or possibly Isani and Chisago may not join. We haven't figured that out. They don't have to, but they can. So,
Okay.
so yeah, should be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Rural counties, I popped in and out of that meeting because, mostly what they were talking about were legislative updates, which there wasn't much to update. And the concerns, one big concern that group of counties has is what's gonna happen with the Enbridge settlement on the taxes. And it looks like they're gonna have to pay them back, but can they negotiate something over a longer period of time?
Yeah, I got those numbers.
Because yeah, you probably got it from Arrowhead.
Yeah, now they're doing like, 10 million from the state and 20 million from the counties. It's a $30 million bill.
Yeah. And if it has to come in 1 year, the counties don't have the money to pay it. So they'll have to borrow the money or something. Anyway. Lower St. Croix Policy Committee, we actually are in the working part of that now. So we're a couple months ahead of you, Josh. So they actually have some plans. They have an ag agronomist that's doing some work. Bowser has approved the plan. I did suggest that as we move forward, and we get Snake River online and we get the Kettle online, that we should have a joint meeting at least once a year, because the total volume of water that's fed into the St. Croix is greater than, at least from our county's perspective, by far, from the Kettle and the Snake, than our watershed with the Lower St. Croix. And probably even from all of Chisago County. But so I think it's important that the three watershed one plans, we're kind of unique because we all feed into this thing called the St. Croix River. So we need to know. The other thing is half that river comes from Wisconsin. And they did have some good partners they'd worked with in Wisconsin. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, two of those people retired. So now they got to build relations with somebody else. So, but certainly the Namakogan is a big flow, you know. Technology committee was canceled and Hux was canceled. HRA.
Dave, you want to jump with that?
Sure. So
I can help.
I think everyone knows the HRA had been having conversations with Accord regarding the potential acquisition of North Court Apartments. And this is an 8-unit with 8 site-based Section 8 vouchers. So that is the reason the HRA would be very interested, and the city of Sandstone is very interested. Accord is willing to delay that transaction until the deed restriction goes away and it can be owned by the HRA. And so it looks like we may just be able to put the brakes on that for right now. And so I think everyone viewed that as very positive, so that the HRA can do their due diligence and I guess just plan to move forward in 2024, I think is the date. The other piece, and Matt, you have to help me here because I don't know how much of this is my hope versus what the board actually discussed. But I think there was a sense with 3 new members within the last year. I think Mary Kay was probably appointed last fall, and then Traver was just appointed, and then Claudia was appointed a couple of months ago. And so there's 3 brand new members, and there's a significant different expectation, I think, from the county commissioners that has gotten some traction. And we have a staff resource in Leslie, who has got some time to dedicate to the HRA. And so I think there's an opportunity now for them to do some strategic planning and figure out what it is their priorities are.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. There's a whole new life to the board right now.
Yep.
And it seems like it's not sitting static.
Yeah, and this is potentially a once in a generational opportunity to really think about, to have the HRA board think about what is their role in housing and redevelopment in the county.
Yeah.
Nemadji.
Yes, we had a meeting. We're fine tuning, our bylaws are done, but we're doing some tweaks already, so I'll just kind of leave by that.
Okay.
But the focus of our meeting, that was last meeting. But the focus of this meeting was setting up the policy to administer the percentage of the funds. And we're going with a tier system. I should find my notes. The first tier is like a 50% match for a project. It's kind of like a one and done deal. The second tier is a 75% match, which is kind of the SWCD Balzer standard, I think, is 70-25. And then the third tier, and that one is where you're using a program that's in place and it's already bettering, the impact to the project goes up with each tier. So the funding goes up. The third one is a 90%, and these are ag directed, and that's where the farm becomes a certified farm. So they'll get 90% funding on a project. And the fourth tier is 100% funded if it meets a wetland restoration or storage goal to a total area, to a total chunk of property. Could be interesting. Then it's gonna be, so I'm sitting there, it's like, well, how come I don't get this, and then it was, so I just said, I'm fine with this as long as we base it in science and impact versus, because I know John over here, that type of thing. So,
And are public entities eligible like Pine County?
I don't know. I think they could be. Yeah, it's just the impact to a watershed. And, most of this is gonna be Carlton County.
Right.
We have just a little bit.
We got a little bit though.
But yeah, and ours is just a headwater on a lake. And Caleb has a very good plan already set up to work on that. So. Anyway, so.
Can I ask another question that
Yeah,
not with Nemadji? Are we done with Nemadji?
yeah, I'm done.
But where are we with our wetland bank?
Oh,
I lost track.
Kelly, I remember we haven't discussed it for a while, but I know we didn't meet criteria on the site we picked.
Right.
It's because it's just a beautiful site and there wouldn't be any changes. So, and I remember if we were gonna make changes, like a creation of a site they have interest in those. And then they were gonna start looking at one of our other areas. The last time I talked to Greg and committee and Kelly, because I think we should still have that,
I think,
especially if we're gonna do economic development.
I think our economic tool chest
Yeah,
would really be enhanced if we had a Pine County wetland bank.
absolutely.
Every project that seems to want to get built has to mitigate a wetland.
Mhm.
And if we had that solved before they had to put a shovel in the ground, that would speed up
And
progress.
it's so true, because if there's a big impact, the company come in and said, what's it gonna cost me to do my wetland credit?
Right.
That's a big chunk of money sometimes.
Or
And if we can mitigate that instantly with our own bank.
more than that, it's like putting your feet in cement. It seems like it takes so long.
Yeah, right, the time involved.
We could streamline that process.
Right. Yeah, that's
I can get
biggest
it right.
Okay,
I'll bring that forward.
all right. One other update that everybody should be aware of is I had coffee with a couple of guys this morning. They were talking about the scholarships that were given away to, in this case, Pine City graduates. There are 42 or 43 kids graduating from Pine City schools that are going to Pine Tech under the Franzen Foundation grant program.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What an awesome thing for our area to take. I mean, that's a huge part of a senior class.
And it's a college now, right?
It is
So they can get
college,
the
so they can
credits.
go to nursing, they can, I mean, they can go everything from, and there were 4 kids that did not have a program connected with Pine Tech, and they're also gonna get funded.
It isn't his first year either. He's been
No.
doing this for a few years now.
For a little, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's an amazing.
Yeah, that is.
program for Pine County kids.
Awesome gift.
Anything else? We got upcoming meetings. We got AMC going on and Two Harbors starting tomorrow night for a couple days. Anything else we need to bring up for the board? Otherwise, Chris, David,
No.
we'll declare the meeting adjourned.
Thank you. You guys have a good afternoon.
You too.
All right.
Nice seeing you again, Reese. Haven't seen you in person forever.
Colin,
Yes, ma'am.
will I be seeing you today?
You can. Are you ready?
I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you later.